Coming up, Independence Day for hundreds of penguins in Argentina. Science brings the Argali sheep back from the brink. A baby rhino wanders out of the Kalahari Desert all alone. Old MacDonald never imagined a farm like this before. And why China isn't saying see you later to the Yangtze alligator. Many visitors come to Australia for its stunning barren landscapes lying bare under the scorching sun. Others, like the Australians themselves, prefer surfing and water sports. But few think of coming here for a sport usually associated with cold, mountainous regions like the European Alps, Canada or Alaska. So it may come as a surprise to some to find that dog sledding is a popular sport down under, proving that the country has more to offer than just cities, deserts and beaches. Originating with the Inuit people of Alaska, dog sledding involves up to 6 huskies who run around pulling a sled. The Australian version lasts for around 3 months during winter, when temperatures are low enough for the dogs to compete. Most of the races are run on dirt forest roads with sleds on wheels, but once a year competitors have the opportunity to do the real thing and sled on snow. Although Australia's dog sledders are probably the world's best sledders on wheels, their lack of experience on snow makes for a potentially bruising weekend. While these Aussie sledding aficionados are the first to admit their limitations, they say they're happy to keep coming back because their dogs just have an absolute ball in the snow. Races are run over sprint courses of 4 to 15 kilometres, medium distances of 20 kilometres and overnight long-distance events of 40 to 60 kilometres, both on dirt tracks or through the snow. The dogs used in races in Australia include Siberian and Alaskan Huskies as well as Alaskan Malamutes. While the Siberian Huskies and Malamutes are pure breeds, Alaskan Huskies are crossbred. However, all 3 breeds are friendly, gentle, and above all, they love to run. They also have a natural slow metabolism, which means they can keep up a good pace all day. Visiting American race marshal Jack Beckstrom kept a close eye on the Australian sledders and believes they're performing as well as their Northern Hemisphere counterparts. According to Jack, whatever the Aussie teams may lack in style, they certainly make up for in enthusiasm. It was Independence Day for hundreds of penguins returned to the wild in Argentina. They were being released into the ocean by biologists with the Mar del Plata Aquarium, who'd rescued the birds from an oil spill and nursed them back to full health. Normally, the scientists rescue 300 penguins a year, but the spill was so bad that at one point they had to look after 200 of the helpless little black and white birds in a single week. The rescuers looked on as all 200 freed penguins quickly waddled their way to the water's edge. Mar del Plata aquarium biologist Karen Griot said the birds were originally migrating south when they swam through the spill off the Argentine coast. She also said that while the outcome was quite good in this instance, it should serve as a warning to everyone that many animals can be hurt by a single person's irresponsibility. Left to fend for themselves, the penguins couldn't have survived the oil spill and would have either been poisoned, drowned or starved. That makes today all the more rewarding for all the people involved with their rescue. Now cleaned, cared for and released, it's hoped that these little guys will safely continue their interrupted journey south. So please, if you've got a ship full of oil, be careful not to spill any. Three baby lions at a Berlin zoo had the unique chance to meet the public for the first time since they were born. The cubs had to be taken away from their mother when they were just 3 weeks old because she didn't have enough milk to feed them. All three are female and have been named Petra, Anne and Angelica after the zookeepers who take care of them. The little lionesses have been bottle-fed ever since they were removed from their mother, and at 5 kilograms each, they've almost achieved a normal weight for their age. On the hot, dry grasslands of Africa, lions spend much of the daytime lying in the shade, cooling off and relaxing, while the playful cubs explore their surrounds and pester the adults. When a lioness is ready to give birth, she'll leave the pride to find a secluded place in tall grass or rocks, where she hides the cubs for the first 6 to 8 weeks. It's a dangerous time for the weak and defenseless cubs, and some may fall prey to hyenas or leopards. At 3 months, the cubs are strong enough to follow their mother back to the pride. These little rascals don't have to hide from any predators. By the time their baby spots begin to fade at 3 months of age, they'll be back with their mother and the rest of the zoo's pride. But for now, it's back into their basket for a much-needed nap. Believe it or not, around the corner in the very next enclosure of the very same Berlin Zoo, 3 jaguar cubs are making their first public appearance just 1 month after they were born. The 3 jaguar babies, which have yet to be named, are the offspring of 9-year-old jaguar mother Jackie. It's not the first time Austrian-born Jackie has given birth to a litter, and the experienced mother is doing a great job with her new cubs. The babies have already tripled their birth weight, and each now weighs a healthy 3 kilograms. Born blind after a gestation period of around 100 days, the cubs begin exploring the world outside their den at around 2 weeks, once their eyes have opened. Jaguars are an endangered species. Estimates indicate that only 10,000 still exist in the wild. However, their numbers are decreasing rapidly due to deforestation and poaching, and in many areas, they're near extinction. This basket of babies brings us one step closer to ensuring the survival of their species. For the first time, a rare Central Asian sheep species has been born from a surrogate sheep. Scientists in Kazakhstan and their international partners who help make the birth possible have welcomed their young bouncing bundle of wool as the first step in boosting the population of the endangered Karganda argali species. Though the proud Kazakhstan argali runs freely and safely in the Almaty Zoo, it's been hunted down and driven near to extinction. Dr. Atyomart Mutsamardiov from the Kazakhstan Institute of Zoology and Genofund of Animals has joined forces with doctors in Austria, France and Russia to transfer argali embryos into regular sheep. The procedure allows argali sheep to reproduce more quickly and give birth to a greater amount of children. Some types of argali have already disappeared, while the researchers have spent years working on this program. The first argali born to a regular sheep lives in the Almaty Zoo. It's a little boy named Marzan, which means pearl in the Kazakh language. The scientists and zookeepers have kept a careful eye on the first argali born to a regular sheep, and he's kept a careful eye on his surrogate mother as she watches over her argali baby. According to Karen Bekolov, head keeper for the sheep, his staff have observed that the new argali seems to be growing faster and healthier than other argali sheep who live with their natural parents. It's great news for the scientists and conservation workers who choose to take an innovative and desperate approach to saving this species. Bekolov adds that the young sheep looks and behaves just like any other regular argali. At times, this presents problems for the surrogate mother, who struggles to keep up with her young mountain sheep's climbing ability. But it's one of the best indications that the Kazakh scientists and their partners have found a method to help bring back the argali sheep to their mountainsides. A 3-week-old white rhinoceros has had a lucky escape after wandering off from her dead mother into the Kalahari Desert near the border between South Africa and Botswana. After an horrendous 12-hour journey from the Kalahari to Pretoria in a cold and dark trailer, baby Carly was not in the best shape. According to veterinarians from Wildcare who rescued her, it's a miracle that she survived at all. Normally, rhino as young as Carly are strong enough to seriously injure human beings, but this fragile infant has pneumonia, a very congested left lung, and diarrhea. There's a lot more chance of her collapsing at this point than harming anyone. The white rhino is the second largest land mammal on Earth. It's not really white, but grey in colour. It's also highly prized by poachers. In Yemen, its horn is valued as a status symbol and used for dagger handles. In the Far East, the horn is ground up and used in traditional medicine. The powder is particularly valued as an aphrodisiac. About 10,000 white rhino remain in the world. Most of them are in South Africa, where authorities have fought to protect them from extinction. Carly's health is slowly improving, and she's already found a playmate, a 3-month-old female named Kayla. Both baby rhinos were desperate for a bond to replace the one they lost with their mothers. When they're strong enough to take care of themselves, they'll be released to make their own way through the wilderness. Residents at a beachside suburb of Perth in Western Australia awoke to find a southern Atlantic fur seal sleeping contentedly on their footpath. Wildlife experts called in to check on the unexpected visitor and said she appeared to have wandered up from the nearby beach, dodging early morning traffic before deciding to have a bit of a rest. Although not pleased at being disturbed, after a bit of gentle prodding, the reluctant seal seemed to decide a return to the beach was the best of her available options. The seal seemed unaffected by her adventure and was soon heading towards the colder waters of the Indian Ocean. Tiny, furry and defenseless, this 1-month-old giant panda is one of China's most valuable treasures. Twin cubs, Shenzhen and her brother Ao, were born after their 11-year-old mother Yaya was impregnated by artificial insemination. The announcement, which was made on state television, said that the identity of the father remained a mystery and added that the cubs weighed around 185 grams each. The cubs themselves are a vital part of China's efforts to save one of the world's rarest animals. Scientists at the Chengdu Giant Panda Breeding Research Center in southwest China aren't taking any risks. The cubs are monitored around the clock for changes in body temperature and weight. The newborns were taken from their mother at birth, but now that they're a little older, they're returned to suckle Yaya's milk, one at a time. Twin panda cubs are often separated from their mother for fear she'll not be able to care for two at the same time and might accidentally crush one. Since the first artificially conceived cub in 1963, 210 have been born in China and 20 overseas. Most cubs are born as a result of artificial fertilization, but research is also underway to create test tube pandas and clone pandas using black pandas and bears as surrogate mothers. At present, the centre breeds an average of 6 pandas each year, but even if they could double that rate, pandas would still need more help. They have a naturally low birth rate, and most refuse to mate in captivity. Even in the wild, scientists estimate that females give birth only once every 2 1/3 years. However, more important than breeding, the main cause of the giant's panda decline is the rapid destruction of the bamboo forests and human encroachment. The most recent survey this year shows that only around 1,000 pandas survive in the wild, half of the 1988 population. Scientists in Wolong are hoping that a pilot project to return young pandas to China's remote forests will help increase the wild panda numbers. These pandas have only ever had contact with humans in this reservation, so they'll have to be trained to recognize a friend from a foe, and even what food they can eat in the wild. The rest will be up to them. Vets in Thailand are turning to acupuncture to relieve their patients' pain. It's not the first time the ancient Chinese therapy has been used on animals, but it seems more pet owners are now willing to let their cats and dogs undergo the treatment. Coco is 13 years old, and he's one unhappy puppy. He suffers from a condition which causes calcium to deposit along his spine, leaving him in extreme pain and unable to walk or lie properly. Conventional drugs have been unable to help Coco, so he's now undergoing acupuncture. The ancient Chinese therapy involves thin needles being inserted into the skin at particular pressure points in the body to relieve chronic pain, stress, and some say even promote healing of organs. Bangkok vet Krongtong Oravirakol has been using acupuncture on pets for several years and says for animals like Coco it's the best treatment. While the animal may experience some initial pain when the needles are being inserted, once they're in place, they actually stimulate the brain to release pain-relieving chemicals into the body. Krongtong has treated about 77 cats and dogs with the therapy and says most show some signs of improvement, with 20% having fully recovered from their ailments. Many universities in America and Australia now teach acupuncture as part of the curriculum for students training to be vets. Krongtong said it used to be hard to talk pet owners into letting her use the ancient technique on their animals, but now more people are willing to turn their pets into pincushions to try and help them. At the moment, it's mainly cats and dogs that are treated with acupuncture, but it can be used on all sorts of animals to ease pain and heal injuries. Ostriches live in the open, arid country of Central and East Africa. Yet they thrive in countries all over the world, like this 27,000-hectare ranch in Chile. A large male ostrich stands 8 feet tall and weighs over 300 pounds. He has an all-black body with white tail and long wing plumes. The female is somewhat smaller and is an all-over greyish colour. Largest of all living birds, the ostrich is a member of the ratite family, which means flightless bird. They usually congregate in groups with antelope and zebra, and their great height enables them to detect danger at some distance away on the open plains. Mating takes place after a brief courtship display, and the female soon lays an egg, which at the same time is the world's largest egg, the largest single cell that exists on our planet, and one of the smallest eggs in relation to the size of the adult female bird that laid it. A true record-breaking effort. An ostrich hen can lay an average of 60 eggs per year, each the equivalent of 24 chicken eggs. The ostrich farms remove the eggs from the nest and keep them in incubators for around 42 days until the chicks hatch. An ostrich eggshell has to be tough enough for a 300-pound bird to sit on it. In fact, an unhatched egg has been seen to withstand the full weight of an adult standing on top of it. An ostrich chick grows 1 foot taller each month until it's 7 to 8 months old and is fully grown within just 18 months of being born. While ostriches don't really bury their heads in the sand, they do have one of the most advanced immune systems known to mankind, which may help to explain why they've never been an endangered species. Today, there are at least 2 million worldwide, while ancient ostrich skeletons and fossils have been found dating back over 120 million years. Ostriches are also the fastest two-legged animals on Earth and can run at 70 kilometers per hour for 30 minutes or more. Regarded by the Chinese as a living fossil because it's lived on Earth for 230 million years, the Chinese Yangtze alligator used to top China's list of endangered species in the late 1970s. But thanks to the Alligator Reproduction Center in eastern Anhui Province, the alligator can look forward to a few more millennia on Earth. The provincial government and the Chinese Ministry of Forestry launched the centre in 1979, when only 500 of the alligators remained. Now there are over 9,000 alligators at the centre, with over 1,500 born there each year. The park authorities have turned the creatures into a tourist attraction that has received hundreds of thousands of visitors. But as the alligators thrive in the park, the numbers in the wild have dropped from 200 to just 100 individuals. The reasons attributed to the sudden decrease include the damming of several lakes they inhabited and an increased use of chemical fertilizers. The centre has begun moving its alligators into a mock wild environment to see if they could survive on their own. And still on the reptilian front, news that a turtle has been returned to its Israeli homeland after spending several years in the London aquarium. It seems that Mr. T, as he's been dubbed, was snatched off a beach by a 7-year-old and spirited off to England in a wet tissue to be his pet. British customs officials nipped the friendship in the bud when they spotted the 5-centimetre long hatchling hidden in hand luggage. Mr. T was shipped off to the aquarium, where he quadrupled in size on a diet of cockles and eels while yearning for home. Well, this faithful loggerhead turtle is finally back. Met by Israeli Parks Authority officials, he was taken to the Israeli Turtle Rehabilitation and Research Center, and when he's feeling fit, will be returned to his natural habitat, the warm waters of the Mediterranean. If all goes well, Mr. T will grow to well over 1 metre in size and live a very long and reproductive life. Finally, an Australian zoo has been showing off the latest member of its animal family, a baby gorilla called Mbaili. The ape was born on Valentine's Day and is the 3rd gorilla to be born at Taronga Zoo as part of an international breeding program to save the endangered species. There are about 40,000 gorillas living in the wild and less than 600 in captivity around the world. Taronga Zoo in Sydney is one of several zoos which have been trying to breed the endangered species. There are many difficulties involved with breeding gorillas, but Taronga must have a secret formula with the birth of their 3rd healthy baby. The name Mbaili means African fantasy. Zoo staff say Mbaili is doing very well and has been getting on with daily life, feeding and sleeping close to her mother at all times. Taronga is home to 10 other gorillas. All of them belong to the western lowland species. That's been Animalia. We'll see you next time. Bye now.
Meta